All right, folks, a warm good evening to you, and welcome one and all to another date on the Journalist Hangout show. Today is March the 29th, and the Lenten season is still on, so we greet you even as we thirst and hunger after righteousness' sake. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. On the program this evening, new economic path charted at the 11th Bola Tinubu Colloquium in Abuja as APC national leader demands expansion of the tax net, kicks against increase in value-added tax or VAT. Now, SHEHU SANI is a senator. He attacks FASHOLA over electricity in Nigeria. He says states enjoying 24 hours power supply are in mass. And later on, we'll share this with you. INEC declares PDP's Ahmadu Fintiri winner of the Adamawa supplementary governorship elections. Let me report I'm hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Did I greet you? This Friday? Mobolade Omonijo is here. I greet you, sir.
It's my pleasure to be here, sir.
Good. So the team is ready. I hope you are. Now, for those who have forgotten, a colloquium is an academic meeting at which specialists deliver addresses on a topic or topics and then answer questions related to them. The 11th Bola Tinubu Birthday Colloquium held inside the International Conference Center, Abuja, where the talk shop centered on homegrown economic reforms anchored on a progressive ideology and vision that seeks to diversify the economy and take the people out of penury. Tinubu suggested a recourse to a wholly Nigerian economic model that would trigger an economic boom away from that of the Western world. To him, expanding the tax dragnet to cover taxable Nigerians while kicking against a proposed 50% VAT increase that's sure to accentuate the level of poverty of the ordinary townsfolk is the ideal tonic. So we'll hear from Ashwaju himself before we get cracking.
We must work hard, not a mindless devotion to the ways of the other nations, but our well-tailored economy for our own people. The next level must be seen as a part of a global and historic dynamic. Our pursuit of next level cannot be achieved by blindly following the economic path of other nations. I have seen a generic and homegrown innovation and creativity from various ideas that I've listened to here. We must simply work for the people in a way that enables them to better work for themselves. The Vice President and his team put a huge question mark on any increase on VAT. Please, if we reduce the purchasing power of the people, we can further slow down the economy. Let's widen the tax net. Those who are not paying now, if it is inclusive of Bola Tinubu, let the net get bigger and we'll take in more taxes, and that is what we must do in the country instead of additional layer of taxes.
All right then, but I'm sure you know that a colloquium is a marketplace of ideas. Gentlemen, Jide, you know, an idea is like a child crying at a church service. He or she must be carried out. So
that's not to distract
that's it. Yeah.
But when you look at what transpired at the colloquium, it is in no way similar to a distraction. Everyone presented brilliant papers. And I believe that since the problem we have is always implementation, we've never been short of good ideas in our nation. It's the implementation of those good ideas that is the problem. I believe some of the ideas that they've come up with can actually take Nigeria to the next level. And when we're talking about the next level, we're talking about the level that will hopefully lead us to prosperity, to hopefully make us a greater nation, a much greater nation, you know, a nation that we can all be proud of.
So we stop being perpetually potentially great.
Yes, every time we talk about our potential, when are we going to realize our potential? So, bright ideas. I'm particularly impressed about the paper presented by the minister, Nelama, because you see, when we look at some of the countries on the African continent, countries like even Ethiopia, you see the progress they are making in terms of the economy and even export. Ethiopia continue to export fresh flowers, and they make good money.
To the world?
Yes, they make good money from exporting fresh flowers to the world. And how did they do it? They created clusters and cargo airports from which
flowers are lifted.
Yes, as they are coming fresh from those farms. Those airports have been located, you know, in those strategic areas, close to the farms. And then they just get exported.
Like clockwork.
Yes, they just get exported before they get bad. So to hear that we have big plans in Katsina, in terms of the Funtua, the plan we have of cotton, to aggregate cotton farmers, more than 800,000 of them in the Funtua area, and turn it into the biggest cotton hub in the whole of West Africa, where everyone will see and feel the gains of cotton spinning and all that, cotton ginning and spinning from Funtua. And then, of course, remember the industrial park in both Aba, you know, and even Yimba City, you know, and of course Lagos here, within the free trade zone, there's of course another industrial park that is being planned. Those things look so beautiful on paper. Exactly. And one can only hope, that in the fullness of time, this government will be able to deliver on these bright ideas that they've come up with. But it is also our duty as journalists to constantly remind them, you know, remind them, we are obligated to remind them that you've come up with these bright ideas. We think these bright ideas will make Nigeria better, because if Nigeria gets better, we all gain from it.
Jide, your eyes on the ball.
Yeah. So, as the Hausa people will say, Zamusa Ido, we will put our eyes on what you are doing.
That's it. That's it.
Put our eyes on what you are doing and ensure that all of these good ideas come to fruition. It's a great thing that we have this Bola Tinubu Colloquium, because even last year, bright ideas also came up. But I'm particularly impressed with what I heard yesterday, and I'm praying that the government will find the courage, the zeal to bring all these things to fruition.
Jide, and after praying, Mobolade, after praying, we must get out to work.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Prayer alone does not do
Watch
anything.
and pray.
But not blindly, underline that, not blindly following the economic path of other nations. That seems to be the catchphrase.
It's important that we don't blindly, we cannot disregard the path that other nations have taken. We should understand them. We should know the pitfalls. We should be able to know what fits into our own model. But when you blindly transplant what is in another country within its own environment, influenced by its environment into yours, it will not work. No, it's like taking a plant that is suitable for the Sahel and you bring down to the rainforest climate and you think it will work. No, it doesn't work like that. So not blindly following them. And sometimes we are too good in getting ill-digested models and we just bring and we want to implement like that, then it won't work. We've tried a number of things over the years, but then, like Jide said, we've also had so many colloquiums, we've had workshops, we've had seminars, you had economic society doing this, you have...
I don't know if it reminds you of the 1977 colloquium after Festac, if you remember.
After the Festac?
Bright ideas and so on. After that, we went to sleep.
We have ideas, as it were. But at the end of the day, we just lack the will. We lack the will to put them to practice. Or we get distracted very easily from the paths that are laid before us. Yeah. We've had this. It's calling our attention to the fact that the economy is very primary to anything we want to do. Yeah. Social development, even political development, must hinge on economic foundation.
Yeah.
Without economic foundation, you may not be able to get anywhere.
Jide, and the celebrant, at 67, I'm a senior. Did you know that?
No,
it's all right.
Because even when you say nobody will believe.
Oh, come on.
You better not say it.
Okay, I'm not talking.
Well, he has said it already anyway.
Did I say it? But I'm saying, he said something like, we must divorce ourselves from our fixation with the GDP, which is a roadmap. But we have treated the GDPs as the destination themselves, which is wrong in his estimation. You see,
SHEHU is a man with a knife for the spoken word, and he picks those words very carefully. You see, I am not like him. I'm not terribly sold on this GDP thing. I'm more concerned about per capita income. What is our per capita income? Because when you put our GDP aside and on one side and you put per capita income on the other side, you see clearly that we are not where we should be.
There's a missing link.
Yeah, we are not where we should be. And that defines the state of the ordinary Nigeria. Is that per capita income? It's not, we should not be tempted to think that Nigerians can go through further pain. That is the point. That is Bola, the politician talking. The politician
in
him coming to play that, look, if we increase VAT,
at this time.
Yes, because we have the capacity to do much better than we are doing in terms of taxation. There are so many big Nigerians who simply do not pay
tax.
They do not pay. They don't think, rather than pay because the system is weak, they will bribe those whose duty it is to collect tax from them and get away with not paying. A lot of expatriates come to our country, make so much money, repatriate this money without paying commensurate tax. Some of them, if you ask, what they do is they deliberately play down the scope of their business so that you will not be able to tax them commensurately. So we have to do something. I agree that FASHOLA and his team are doing a good work. But when I look back, even when we had Ofweko, Ofweko, as far back as 6, if not 7 years ago,
under the Obasanjo
generated in excess of 4 trillion. So if we could do that at that time, then nothing stops us from making even bigger progress. I believe that we can actually eat the 8 trillion.
Which is the total size of our budget for now.
We can eat the 8 trillion or 9 trillion mark if we do better than we are doing in terms of taxation. And for me, if we must tax the luxury items, fine. Perhaps that is the bit that SHEHU didn't really preach. There are people who buy these expensive wines, expensive champagne, and the rest of them. Go to some nightclubs, you see the way they do and the noise they make about even those. They will put the champagne inside what looks like a coffin, and everybody, they will be singing, you know, they will light it up, and they will be singing, and if you hear the price, Citizen Jones, you almost suffer a seizure. If you hear the price of one bottle
of wine, of choice wine.
We should tax such luxury items seriously. We can make some money from that. We can make a lot more money. I believe the great countries of the world derive a lot of their funding from taxation. So we can go along that route too, but we can't also do that without providing infrastructure and make life more meaningful.
That's it.
When we do that, more people will feel the need to pay tax. They will feel beholden to their nation.
Mobalade, almost every country will talk about areas of competitive advantage. Yes. We just talked about cotton now. The time was when cotton was a great earner in this country. Palm oil, name them, groundnuts, and so on. We can go back there.
Cocoa in the West.
That's it. It is no, as they say, rocket science.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, it's not too long ago. Some of us were alive around the time, and we saw it booming. Even in the time that you had Okpara and all that, you still saw a lot going on in agriculture in the southeast. Yes. So we need to go back there. That is, I mean, Chief Audogbe was saying a lot about agriculture. We can praise them.
Sorry, is it true, gentlemen, that he talked about on the sidelines about importing toothpicks to the tune of how many billions?
I don't know how much, but I know the fact that we even import toothpicks at all
is
a shame.
I've also heard that we spent millions and millions of dollars importing processed palm oil.
Oh, yes, we do.
And it makes no sense.
And interestingly, from the same Malaysia, we gave seedlings to.
Yes.
So something went wrong.
So a lot went wrong. Yeah. It was the oil boom that became oil costs.
To our nation.
To our nation. Other countries, it was a blessing to them because they used it to develop their countries, to build a foundation, for the country to blossom. But here, it became a curse. Everybody just went to sleep. Nobody was doing anything.
Used it to develop their tourism.
Exactly.
And everybody talks about Dubai now.
There was a time when we used to have development plans in this country. But you don't even have, I mean, we are beginning to resuscitate some of these things.
What do you think gives Kenya the much-needed dollars? Tea.
And we have tea in the Mambila.
In Mambila Plateau.
And we have tea here.
We have apple in Plateau State. Yes. And
we're talking about the temperate zone here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Excellent tea.
We have all these opportunities.
In
a time that we had very good timber. We had all these in our country. God has endowed us with so much.
So what did happen?
Well, no, you see, even if you ask me, we always come up with ideas, but we don't follow up the ideas.
Yeah.
The last administration came up with the idea of Aeropolis. This Aeropolis meant they needed to build airports, cargo airports.
Across the country?
Yes, where you can export tomatoes, for example, fresh tomatoes, export.
Outside.
Where you can export even tea. Because nothing stops us from saying, look, this Mambila area is too crucial to our nation. The area is just special in terms of its climate and everything. Let's put an airport here where what is produced can be sent abroad, But they came up with beautiful ideas, but for now, no one is talking about.
I hope the idea is not to demarket my country, because I'm not doing that. When you hear that this hide and skin comes from Togo, you bring in beans from Côte d'Ivoire, and these are
pineapples from Benin Republic.
Benin Republic. These are things
that we can produce.
It's shameful. It's shameful. And we are not allowing industries to develop, apart from export, even the domestic market. We import, let alone export anything. Things that we could export, we are not developing the local farmers. We are not developing the potentials that are here. I will keep saying that we have the greatest potentials.
Let's talk about VAT briefly. Value-added tax. This is practiced, across the world, especially Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. So, and we are a member of it. So VAT is something that's not alien. But what are we doing with it? VAT?
Well, when you look at VAT, people will say VAT that we pay in Nigeria is probably the lowest in the world. Even some countries around us pay as much as 10%. Yeah. But we have to be careful. We have to be careful because of the ripple effect that any increase on consumption tax will have on the Nigerian people. Since Nigerians are going through a lot. I saw the way FASHOLA quickly combusted the suggestion that they were going to increase VAT by 50%. Is something that they have to think through thoroughly. And, and SHEHU's position is clear on this. Anything that will that will worsen the inflationary trend in our country
is a no-no.
Is something that we have to be very careful about. It will worsen things for the ordinary Nigerian, and they will hate the government for that.
All right, especially now we are talking about the next level. So everything must be geared towards achieving the next level goals and objectives, because it's possible. I hope, gentlemen, I'm not reminded rather stupidly of Fela's great song, which today is like an NTBB. Do you remember BBC? Big Blind Country?
I don't remember.
Oh, you be small boy. All right. Still to come, SHEHU SANI attacks FASHOLA over electricity in the country, and he says states enjoying 24-hour power supply are in mass. Please stick around for that. All right, folks, you know, one statement of fact that sounds more like an overused cliche is the one that says, fix the country's electricity requirements and you have solved more than 2/3 of our problems. Power Minister Barrister Babatunde Fashola was bound to draw the irritation of many when he claimed that some states in the country already enjoy a 24-hour electricity supply. Senator SHEHU SANI, PRP, representing Kaduna Central, is a lot less than amused by this claim. To him, the minister is simply dreaming up utopian states like Uranus, Venus, Jupiter, and so on. But wait a minute, isn't there a relationship between an increase in transmission capacity and a corresponding increase in power supply?
The truth is, there is an increase in transmission generation capacity.
Yeah.
But there's really no increase in transmission capacity.
That's where the wahala is.
No visible increase in transmission capacity. The truth is, he is right when he says, oh, we can generate more than 8,000 megawatts.
Yeah.
The minister was right. Now, first, before I even go into that, the minister agreed that some states do like 5 hours,
some 10
hours. He didn't say, and he said some, 24. Almost 24 hours. He used the word almost. So it's not as if he gave the impression that things are so.
It was across board.
The truth is, even when you generate 8,100 megawatts, the Nigerian national grid cannot do more than 5,000 megawatts. The highest that we've done is 5,228 megawatts.
So passing them through the cross-country power lines.
It's like a relay, because the grid is old, so you have all kinds of problems. If you try, even when we generated above 5,000 megawatts, we were not able to do it beyond 3 days. This is a fact that TCN they can't come out and say, look, in a whole week, we did 5,000 megawatts. They sent their report.
That we sustained that
for 1 week. No, it's impossible. It has not happened, you know. So sometimes too, they do like 3,500 and all that. The minister knows what the problems are. And if I were the minister, I would tell Nigerians the truth that, look, we have constraints here and there. Gas is a major constraint. Because, look, we have power plants like Papalanto, Omotosho, even Egbe.
Let's identify them. Egbe is thermal.
Thermal.
Yeah. All these ones are, all these power plants, they are thermal stations.
Gas is essential.
Yes, gas is essential. Now, Egbe is the largest in West Africa. Omotosho and Papalanto, if you go there, if you go to those places, find out whether at any point they've been able to use all their turbines.
No.
Because of gas constraints. So those ones are even producing, I mean, at below installed capacity, because we've not solved the problem of gas constraint. The shorting that we suffer as a result of gas constraint alone is not less than 1,500 megawatts. So as long as we are unable to solve these problems, we cannot say that electricity has improved. I've heard people talk about Borno State, that, oh, in Borno State, people said, look, we have too much power, please come and take your power. Do you know why? In Borno State, look at Borno North, for example. A great number of communities in Borno North, people are not living in them. Boko Haram has chased people away. So, electricity that is meant for 15 persons.
No. Electricity goes there.
Oh,
but the population
is supposed
is
to go there. Supposed to go there. Even Yola Disco cannot even supply to some of those places because equipment have been destroyed. The people are not resident in those places. Now, what I'm saying is, electricity that is meant for 14 persons, if 5 persons are using it, obviously they will have more than enough. Yeah. And these people are poor. So, if in your house now you have three ACs, you use iron and all that. On the average, they will bring a bill of 15,000 to you every month. Estimated? No, based on consumption. They will bring 15,000 to you. Now, if you have 24 hours electricity, as those people literally have, will they be able to pay? The answer is no. Even as low as the tariff is now, 31 naira, they can't pay. That is why they are saying, look, come and take your, we don't need this much. But they have that much because where light ought to go, a lot of those communities, people are not in them.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I see what you mean.
A lot of those communities, look at the last election. Elections took place in many local government headquarters. Even a whole local government, like Guzamala local government, they couldn't do election in that local government. They had to go to somewhere else to tell you that there are communities that people are not in them. So lights that everybody should share. A few people, maybe in Maiduguri, they have access to it. Why won't they have more light? So this is the thing. It's not as if there is a quantum leap. The way you can know whether we have a quantum leap in electricity supply is from the transmission, from what is transmitted. Yeah, if you can't transmit above 5,000, then there won't be a significant improvement.
So, Manager, we were not planning for tomorrow today, which is why we are here. You talk about the transmission lines not being able to take more than 5,000 megawatts at a given time. So you need a lot of work has to be done there. But when the minister talks about Kebbi and Yobe, when he cited them, what is he telling you?
Well, see, when I heard Yobe and Kebbi, just like Jide has just explained now, what is the demand, energy demand in those states? Yes. The areas where you really need energy, where there's much demand, there's nowhere we don't need it. Yeah. Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, Port Harcourt. No, I mean, those are the places. They don't have. Those are the places where you have the industries requiring, you have the homes, you have the population. We don't have it. And when we are talking of the need, transmission is a major problem. Yeah. Generation remains a problem. Distribution is a major problem.
And so all the billing system
is serious. That's part of the distribution bottlenecks that we have. And the transmission is particularly pathetic. And I'm concerned about transmission because it is a government concern.
Yes,
it is 100% owned by the federal government. And yet, we are not making so much progress. Since 1999, everybody talks about power supply.
So are we able to understand the politics of power supply in this country?
Understand? We are still trying to understand, at least some of us. I don't know if Jide understands, but I don't even understand the language, let alone the politics of power supply.
Because, see, he talked in passing about, we talked about textile factories, for instance. Over 400 of them.
Yes.
Over 400
yes.
are dead, including the great Aswani here in Lagos, because there's no power.
It's just, you see, a lot of, not just them, even the companies that are still surviving now, the private, the
cost is
informal
horrendous.
sector, they are finding it difficult to make money because they spend far too much
on diesel,
on electricity generation.
Yeah.
You know, so this is the thing. You look at a state like Kano, because I go to Kano from time to time. Kano's allocation from the quantum of electricity in our country is 8%. But Kano hardly gets even 5%. Because because the capacity to will that electricity to them is not there. And that's still the grid that we are talking about. Some time ago on this program, I said that the weakest link is the transmission.
In the chain.
Yes, and some people argued that, it is not, why am I saying, what about the distribution? Transmission is the weakest.
If you don't transmit, you
know why transmission is the weakest? You can generate more than 8,000 megawatts. That one, we agree.
You need to
The
transmit.
minister was right. The minister was right. You can, according to the TCN itself, the TCN stress report, you can distribute, you have capacity to distribute in excess of 6,000 megawatts. But as we speak, you cannot transmit beyond 5,000 megawatts. When you transmitted 5,228 megawatts, sometime last year, I think around February, it didn't last more than 24 hours. So
because
this is the
you
thing.
couldn't sustain it.
You suffer a shutdown. And you know in our country that even these system failures are common.
Oh, yes.
When you talk about Kebbi or some states, maybe they have light more than others. Even in Lagos, it happens. You see someone who sit down and say, "Oh, electricity supply has increased. In my house, I get 20." Yeah. It depends on it's about infrastructure. If you live in an area where 33 kV passes through, you are likely to get more electricity than people who live in areas where it's 11 kV. Because it's like
and population
it's like
is
pressure.
another. Population
it's
is
like
another.
pressure. So this is what I'm trying to describe.
Yeah, okay.
It's like pressure. Like maybe you are pumping water. Your own bucket is at the top.
Okay.
You know, you get it, and the pressure of the water that comes to you will be higher than those who are further down. So 33 kVA, that is the first set of electricity can describe as such, comes through 33 kVA. So because of that, they get more electricity than people who are on 11 kVA.
Okay,
I will give an example. Go to Toyin, for example. Toyin in Ikeja. They experience far more electricity than people on Awolowo Road, and they are neighbors. You get the point? Because of this same 33 kV, and 11 kV. So this is the thing. Nigerians they think that because you have electricity more than your neighbor, you start arguing that no, things have improved. No, until we move beyond, let TCN tell us that they've ever transmitted up to 5,000
megawatts.
500 megawatts. It's 5,200. That's the threshold.
Mobolaji, we cannot. Mobolade, I'm sorry. What's the difference?
The difference is D and G.
Oh, here we go again. No, but So let's put the comments of the senator in perspective now.
Okay.
Is it a question of him not understanding the dynamics or being misinformed?
Because he's a politician.
Oh, really?
Any opportunity to grandstand, any opportunity to
And it's,
be
fairly right. It's not that it was
so
wrong.
I'm not too bothered about what SHEHU SANI has said or has not said. The important thing is that what do we experience? From time to time, you see a burst of energy and you have some light for some time. People start praising. It doesn't ever last.
No, it doesn't last.
No, it doesn't. We've been having it. Every administration, when Bola came and he made some moves, and there was some light everywhere, and he fired them. All of them began to. Then after some, everything just collapsed. Because we did not have the capacity.
Which is what I meant by the politics of power supply here. Well, but again, Jide, the minister is saying the federal government is willing to spend 72 billion naira to install transformers and expand electricity distribution.
Yes.
You believe him?
You see, yes, that is still the transformers will help
distribution,
improve grids, and then also help the
transmission.
Improve transmission and distribution, because it's the transformers are the
vehicles
through which you actually ensure that everyone has electricity, taking it from the feeder and then to the transformers. But the truth is, what people want to see is a general improvement across
the three
legs.
Yes.
Generation,
Discos have
transmission,
and
distribution.
Gencos have their problems. Are we going to be able to say, okay, we have consistent supply of gas? Because to get gas to a motor shop, for example, one of our very important thermal stations, is a big problem. We didn't, at the point when we were building those power plants, we didn't think of the way to ensure that they will have constant gas supply.
Them.
And when you don't have constant gas supply, you suffer system failure. We've had system failures based largely on insufficient gas.
That's it.
So it's not simply just throwing money at problems. We have to find a way to ensure that all of these little problems
are tackled.
At every, it's not, we like to attack the discourse. Yes, because we don't like the way we are built.
They're the ones that we interface with us.
But they are not the only problem.
The ones that
we have to also address all of those sectors.
But you don't blame Nigerians when they tackle the issue of estimated bills. And so I migrated from...
That's inefficient.
I migrated from a post-paid regime to a prepaid regimen. And I tell you, not necessarily advertising now, I spend on the average 5,000 naira in the month. What I do is stop because I use now the prepaid. So if prepaid meter was available in so many homes, you don't think we'll get somewhere?
Well,
if you understand...
No, if it's available, it will be a little bit more efficiently managed. Because, like you said, you have some hold on what you consume. Yeah. As against where you have estimated
and you are forced to regulate what you consume.
Yes.
Oh, put that off. Come on, we don't need this.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. I agree with you on that. But it's not just as simple. There are too many legs to the problem. It's hydra-headed. And we need to really... When they were going to privatize, it was like a cure-all. That once you privatize, you arrive at the El Dorado. There will be light everywhere. It's been privatized for so long now, and we are not anywhere near the El Dorado.
Okay, then. I hear we must pass over now, but not before reminding you that if we are able to solve our power problems, more than 2/3 of our problems in the country are solved. You better believe that. Now, you know, our next story has to do with Adamawa State. The wait for the outcome of the Adamawa State governorship election was as palpable as it was hair-raising. The reason for these are the titans who did battle for the coveted seat. Incumbent Governor Jubrila Bindo, APC, went up against former Speaker Ahmadu Fintiri, PDP, and Adamawa Central Senator Abdulaziz Murtala Nyako of the ADC. The figures returned attest to the intense nature of the contest. with 376,000 votes for Fintiri, 336,000 for Governor Bindo, and 11,000 for the second runner-up, 13,000 for the second runner-up, Senator Nyako. Anything could have happened. In Nigeria, winning elections is the thing. Meanwhile, let's give you a replay of when Babajide predicted that this would happen. Jide, what you said?
Octopus.
Okay then. All right, we'll look for it and show you. But the three titans, Mobolaji, it was only natural. It was going to happen.
Yeah, it was predictable that it would happen, but at a point you could not even really be sure of between the APC and the PDP. The factors were there, the dynamics were there, and it was a tough battle as it came out. But by the time they were going for the rerun, is it rerun you call it now?
The supplementary
elections, it was fairly obvious to a discerning political analyst that the PDP was going to clinch it, as it were. No, but it's instructive that we have our three governors who are dethroned. Was it 2 or 3? You have Bauchi, yes. You have Adamawa,
yeah. But
of course it didn't happen in Sokoto, it did not happen in Benue. Those are the other places, and it didn't happen in Kano. No. But all those, they were keenly contested, and a lot of tricks were also displayed here and there. But it was predictable that you will have that problem there.
Jide, votes cast 899,097, valid votes 871,000, voided votes or invalid 29,700. What does that tell you?
Well, the turnout could have been better.
Sorry, I hear we can now take what you said. Watch this.
Out of the APC gone with Babame Mangoro, the PDP remains. And you have the Atiku factor. The Atiku factor, whether you like it or not, it is strong. He won the election, he won the presidential election in the state. We have something that looks like Osun now, because the heavyweights in the APC in Adamawa, they are refusing to work for the governor. Abdulaziz may not win the election. I don't see him winning the election, but he will spoil APC's votes. So the governor is there, is going to have to fight his battles. And that is why this race, I'm not going to give it to the governor, because in a free and fair contest, he may even lose.
You saw what many of us didn't see, Jide.
Because the problem...
No go near government house there.
No, they've had problems in that state. The APC has had problems in that state for years. And the leadership of the party couldn't find a way to solve the problem. Since 2016, I had been talking about the problem in that state. They didn't find a way to solve the problem. Look at what this person scored. Abdulaziz Murtala Yako. He scored 113,000.
Yeah.
Exactly.
237.
Now, you can imagine if he worked for Bindo.
Okay.
If he worked for Bindo, Bindo would have scored an extra 100,000.
To defeat
Fintiri.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. All these needless fights, you don't need these needless fights. We saw it in Osun when APC waged war against itself. So you need to come together, unite before any election. And if there's a crisis, you have to try to solve that problem before election. Otherwise, you are going into a battle as a divided house. You are not likely to win. That's why I knew from the beginning that Bindo will not win the election. The same way that I predicted that the Bauchi governor would not win, because he also had to contend with people from within his party. I can tell you that it is the APC members who actually ensured that Fintiri won this election, because without them, Bindo would easily have won.
I think I feel constrained to drop my seat in somewhere here, Akwa Ibom. I was there just before the election. What played out? Very simple. The Akwa Ibom people voted against the APC in the state because a heavyweight boxer had left the PDP for the APC. So you can see it's a near semblance here. You are a ruling party, but you are at war with yourself.
Yes.
That's what happened in many of the states. In some of the states, they managed to win despite the crisis, but the crisis left its mark. And it's unfortunate because when you are going to battle, you have to prepare very well and ensure that you are not working at cross purposes. In many states, they worked at cross purposes. Even in Imo, if they had managed their crisis well, they would have picked that state. Yeah. But they lost.
No less so Zamfara.
No less. Zamfara is even a different kettle of fish altogether.
No, but we can talk about
yes, I know. It's one of the worst. It's one of the worst.
All those legal battles in Zamfara are not instituted by PDP. It's
within the party. And the party is rejoicing that they are almost losing everything now. A fraction of the party is rejoicing. Just like you have in River State. Magnus Abe is happy that the party is in tatters.
Yes.
Could not feature as APC in the election.
You know, let me throw this in. And this is having to do with the nature of Nigerian politicians. Win all, take all. The Supreme Court delivered the judgment today that former governor of Cross River, Donald Duke, is the duly, is the official candidate. And question, does it matter?
No, in any case, it was his name that was on the ballot.
Okay.
It was his name. I'm happy that even when we had the presidential debate, Donald Duke brought himself forward, and it was well debated for SDP.
Yeah.
So while the rest of them were deceiving themselves that, Jerry Ghana and the rest of them, you know, it was Donald Duke that came forward.
But it's still instructive that
they will have lost votes as a result of that.
After the whole thing, that this was the rightful candidate.
No, it's too late. It's too late.
They
will have lost votes as a result.
I'm constrained to use the word the phrase a judicialization of the electoral process.
The judicialization of the polity.
Of the polity. Of the polity.
Yeah, that's what is going on.
Of the polity.
I agree with you. Right from primary and congresses, we've been having everything contested. And we put so much pressure even on the judiciary itself.
Yes.
It's unfortunate. You don't have the same... The corpus, the legal corpus, the jurisprudence in Ghana is not superior to us. And yes, you don't have all these shenanigans playing out all the time.
So
politicians are interesting people. An election has been conducted. You are going to court that they should not collate. How ridiculous can politicians get? Don't collate. Oh, they want to do this, stop them. And then the court will now come and say, look, I don't have jurisdiction.
They contest everything unnecessarily and unduly. They contest.
And of course, for the members of the bar, it is harvest.
No, it's boom time. It's boom time. It's boom time.
No, you don't blame
Who can blame them?
It's only that they deploy certain tricks also that are anti-democracy and unpatriotic.
Let's begin to try to take it home. The politician in the 21st century Nigeria is also leaving many of us agape. We are wondering if we have learned anything or forgotten anything.
Towards 20.
Well, when you look at the way these politicians are conducting themselves, you are tempted to believe that nothing has been learned. I was discussing with a fellow about even the National Assembly, and you see a lot of the unpleasant characters that we had in the National Assembly, and the 8th Assembly, they are back. So it will just seem like no real change will take place, and that is bad. That's demoralizing. Nigerians want to see change in every facet of our political life, and the politician has a big role to play. Going to court for ridiculous reasons and all that has to stop. Stop wasting people's time. Look at Rivers as we speak. The election has not been concluded. They had the election, the presidential election, 6 local governments didn't have their votes added.
When you hear something like, oh, this state is APC state, oh, this state is PDP state, what does it mean? All right, we must pack up and go, but let me thank Mobolaji Omonijo for coming. Mubola, oh, come on. Do I remember him? Mobolade Omonijo, I thank you for your time. Enjoy your weekend.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Babajide Kolade Utitoju. Well, we have no choice but do our job. We don't finish our own. The rest is left to them, you know.
It's left to those politicians too.
To those politicians. All right, we must pack it all in here, and that will be just about it. Join us for a fresh edition on Monday, and of course, watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms. We'll show you on the screen now, and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. The feedback channel is the same. Meantime, I'm Citizen Jones Hussein. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye now.